So Cooper Flagg has a massive opportunity to really establish himself on the collegiate stage in tonight's game against the Kansas Jayhawks. Technically, I'm recording this on Monday, but y'all will see it on Tuesday. So we're going to talk about it as if it's Tuesday. And I do believe that Cooper Flagg is set up here for a huge matchup against obviously #1 overall Kansas in Vegas, a game that is going to be probably the most talked about, hyped up, and watched game so far this season in the college basketball atmosphere. And it's a massive opportunity for him to establish himself and show that it's not just hype with him. And I don't think it is just hype. I mean, Cooper Flagg skill set wise is a guy who I do 100% think that he deserves to be that #1 overall pick. And there's been a couple of issues, a couple of flaws with how he's played so far his collegiate career, but he has shown some really impressive two-way skills, versatility, athletic ability, and just overall size. The things, and he's so heady. He's such a good player, like mentally as well. He makes good decisions, especially for somebody who is so young. His ability to produce in so many ways at such a high level at so young. I mean, he's a true freshman. It's absolutely incredible to see him playing this well. And look, I know that one and done it's a very common thing in college basketball, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's a very common thing to one and done be averaging almost 20, 10, and 5 as a freshman. I mean, it's ridiculous how impressive Cooper Flagg has been his first couple games. And while there are a couple of flaws to how he's played so far, a couple of things you want to see him clean up on, I think it's worth talking about how impressive he's been and what this matchup against Kansas means for the college basketball landscape and for Cooper Flagg's season, and how he's going to establish himself as like that, hopefully, at least what his goal is, the surefire #1 pick, right? So before we hop into it, if y'all haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 1,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I'm uploading every single day, and channel is starting to grow a little bit. Really appreciate y'all's support. Trying to get monetized. Would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. But without further ado, let's hop right into it. So Cooper Flagg, first things first, let's just talk about how he's played to this point in the season statistically. I mean, he is 5 games into his collegiate career. He's shooting 45-ish% from the field, only 26% from 3, but he's averaging 17, 9, and 4 on, again, the 3-point efficiency isn't there. The 2-point efficiency at 53% isn't bad, especially as a freshman. And it's also, I will say, a lot of teams have played just gimmies to this point. Duke's already played 2 non-gimmies, a game against Kentucky and a game against Arizona, both of whom are very, very good teams. Now, I will admit Cooper was not great down the stretch against, well, I think he was really good in the Kentucky game. He had 26 and 11, but he did have a couple of crucial turnovers at the end of that game. And if you want to nitpick something so far about he's played, it'd probably be the turnovers. I think with how much he has the ball in his hands and how much of a playmaker he is, especially as a bigger wing here as a freshman, it is a little bit excusable. Yeah, I like the fact that the assist-turnover ratio is positive, 3.8 assists to 2.8 turnovers. Like, that's a good sign for a freshman, especially with the amount of defensive attention that he is drawing. And there's a ton to like. I mean, he's legitimately already the best two-way player in college basketball, I would say. And I do believe he's going to just develop into an incredible NBA player. We can talk about NBA comparisons here in a second, but you do 100% want to see the 3-point shot look better. Now, after his 0 for 4 to start the season, he is currently 6 for his last 19, which is about 32%, 33%, which isn't like unbelievably efficient, but if he is a mid 30% 3-point shooter, low to mid 30% 3-point shooter, that's not awful for a guy who's likely going to continue to shoot even more efficiently in the 2-point range. Like, obviously 53% is good, not amazing. If that gets up into the higher 50s though, this is I would not be shocked at all if he averages nearly 20 points a game or even right around 20 points a game as a freshman. And when you're a guy who's a true freshman at 6'9", big, physical, 205, 210 pounds, with his absolute freak athletic ability and his serious playmaking chops as a true freshman, I mean, that's rare to see. And I think we saw some talent, honestly, a very similar player just a couple years ago at Duke in Paulo Banchero, in Mike Krzyzewski's last year, where he was dominant as a freshman and just absolutely incredible in a lot of ways. And I want to go back and look at his stats and compare them to what Cooper Flagg is doing so far. I mean, honestly, it's less points, less rebounds, less assists, relatively similar efficiency if you take out that first game with the 3-point shooting. And again, 52.5% from the 2-point range. Cooper Flagg is looking, to me at least, like he has a very, very good percentage chance. And he's also got a slightly better assist to turnover ratio than Paulo did in his freshman season. Cooper Flagg, very early in his career, only 5 games in, is looking, to me at least, like a guy who I think is very much going to be as good as any player in college basketball, pretty much, and just the impact that he has on both ends of the court is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, look, say what you will about AI, but I asked Google for an NBA comparison for Cooper Flagg, and just to see what people are saying. And the names they give me, guys like Jason Tatum, Andre Karolinko, Scottie Pippen, Paulo, Sean Marion, like, it's a really, really stacked list of some of the more versatile all-around players of the past 20 or 30 years of NBA basketball. And that's the biggest thing about Cooper Flagg is his skill set is unbelievable. He is so versatile and so complete. If he starts shooting the three ball a little bit better, he's literally going to be the best two-way player in college basketball already. I mean, you could already argue he is. And a guy who is going to be an impactful NBA player on day one. I think there are very few guys who have the skill set, headiness, intelligence about basketball, but also freak athletic ability and physical dominance and size to be this good this early. And I see why he's being talked about as, in a lot of ways, a pretty generational prospect. I mean, I think people, honestly, I doubt people really forgot about this, right? But after the Olympics, people probably don't think about what happened before the Olympics, but Cooper Flagg was on the elite select team, whatever it was called, that trained and scrimmaged and practiced against Team USA. And if we look at this, like, let's against NBA competition, he's hitting pull-up jumpers. He's making an impact defensively, guarding Anthony freaking Davis. Like, that's one of the best big men in the NBA, and he is just making massive plays, making the perfect throw-ahead pass right there, and then he gets an offensive tip-in, rebound, and one. Like, you see a dude who's really making an impact physically against legitimate high-caliber NBA talent. These guys on the USA Olympic team are the best American basketball players in the world right now. And Cooper Flagg is knocking down threes, putting the ball on the floor, defending, showing off athletic ability, showing off the passing. Like, people aren't doing that type of stuff as 17, 18-year-old men. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just don't see people of the Cooper Flagg talent very much. And so, yes, they're playing against the number one team in the country tonight. Only 12 in the country themselves. But this matchup against Kansas is going to be an incredibly good test for Cooper because he's going to be on national television, ESPN, primetime, Thanksgiving week, biggest game of the season so far, going up against the number one team in the country. And the other thing about Kansas is they're so experienced. Like, Hunter Dickinson's not an NBA guy, probably, but he's a really good collegiate basketball player, like a very, very good one. KJ Adams is in the same boat there. KJ Adams never been a shooter, and he will not be an NBA guy either, but another super experienced senior with a lot of high-level experience. And I mean, that's kind of the story of this entire Kansas roster, to be honest, is a ton of experience and guys who have been there, done that at a high level in collegiate basketball. And so, look, he's not playing against another number one NBA prospect in this game in the same type of matchup, but in the same vein as him anyway. But his matchup against KJ Adams is going to be, I mean, that's one of the best power forward type players in college basketball. I think that's one of the best players to give him a really competitive matchup on both ends of the court in tonight's game. And it's going to be a great learning opportunity for Cooper Flagg to see if he can dominate against the level of competition that Kansas has, the level of experience and maturity that Kansas has, which, again, from what we've seen again at every level and every opportunity Cooper Flagg has had, he's been able to do that. If he can keep doing that and he can start to knock down that three-pointer at a little bit higher efficiency level, this is a guy who's not only a surefire number one pick, but there's a reason he's the most hyped up collegiate prospect since Zion Williamson, I think, and one of the more hyped up prospects, period, in the 21st century. This dude is very, very special, and I think he is going to, I would not be surprised at all to see him put on a show and prove why he 100% is that leading candidate for the number one overall pick. An absolutely incredible basketball player who is just uber talented. I am excited to watch him play basketball this season, and tonight's game is going to be a really fun opportunity to do just that. So I'll be tuned in, and I hope y'all are as well. Hope y'all did enjoy the video. If y'all did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more NBA content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.